It is therefore ordered that you shall be put to death by electrocution in the mode prescribed by law, and that you shall be transferred to the custody of the warden at the Tennessee Prison for Women. And further, on the 12th day of January, 1997, your body shall be subjected to shock by sufficient current of electricity. May God have mercy upon you. Mr. Bates, put Mr. Pike into the house.
Can I please have my mom before I go?
Mr. Bates, please hold Miss Pike in the dock.
Please, let me just love my mom.
Please hold Miss Pike in the dock.
I love you. I love you. And I love you too.
Christa Pike, 27 years on death row in the state of Tennessee. She was found guilty of torturing and killing her classmate Colleen Slemmer when she was just 18 years old. Christa believed that Colleen was trying to steal her boyfriend, Tedderill's ship. On January 12, 1995, Pike, Ship, Slemmer, and another friend of Pike's, Shadola Peterson, left their university dormitories to take a walk in the woods. Colleen was told that the purpose of this gathering was to reach an agreement and stop the constant fighting between them. What she didn't know was that both Pike and her boyfriend had developed an interest in the occult and satanic worship, and they had other intentions. Slemmer was attacked by Pike and Ship, while Peterson served as lookout. In later court testimony, it was stated that Slemmer was taunted, beaten, and cut over the following 30 minutes, while also having a pentagram etched into her chest. Slemmer was killed when Pike finally crushed her skull with a sizable piece of asphalt. A portion of Slemmer's skull was retained by Pike, and the next day she started showing it around to other students. This is what led to the group's arrest less than 36 hours later. While Pike received the death penalty, her boyfriend got life in prison with the possibility of parole, and Peterson pled guilty, but she only got probation because she became an informant. It was discovered that Christa Pike had all three major common traits between murderers: a history of childhood abuse, a mental illness, and brain damage, most probably due to prenatal alcohol exposure. If the state carries out the punishment, she will be the first female to be executed in Tennessee in more than 200 years.
She was only the second woman to be sentenced to death in the state of Tennessee.
Christa does not deserve to die.
I did something horrible that is unacceptable, and I realize that. But I don't deserve to die for the actions of 3 individuals.
I'm against the death penalty, and I just have so much faith that God is not going to let my daughter die.
I've never been in the presence of anyone I thought was pure evil, but to me she's pure evil.
Regardless of the crime she's committed, she has a huge heart. To those of us who know her, she's still a little girl. She could be so sweet and loving one day and then in trouble the next, and it was just an ongoing battle with her.
Tadero was respected, if not feared. He protected me. He was probably the first man that I'd ever had in my life that wanted to protect me, that saw me as, a treasure, something good instead of something to use and toss to the side.
This is the location where Christa brought Colleen that evening. They picked this partner because it was isolated, it was closed in the evening, and they would be virtually alone here.
I wanted to get her off campus, and I had every intention of fighting her. I knew exactly what I was doing. Everything that I did that night, I knew what I was doing. And I think I was taking things out on her that had happened to me years ago.
For 45 minutes she had cut her. She cut her throat. She made that comment, "The bitch won't die." And so she took a large piece of asphalt that was discarded on the side of the road. She made 5 strikes with that piece of asphalt, and finally she said, "I want to see her brains flow." And she, with all her might, hit Colleen in the head and cracked her skull, and gray matter did spill from Colleen's head.
I was the first one they arrested, the first one they interviewed. And I thought that if I went in there and told him that I did every single thing that happened up there, that Daryl and Shadala would just get to walk out of there and they wouldn't worry about them anymore because they had the real killer.
Through one of the psychiatrists come out with the opinion that she had all the profile of being a serial killer, but probably got caught her first time.
Just over a year after the murder of 19-year-old Colleen Slemmer in the woods of Tennessee, Christa Pike stood on trial for this savage, tortured death.
Crystal kept looking back, laughing and joking, sending notes to her mom, sending notes to her lawyer, just laughing away.
But Christa shed tears when her damning 45-minute confession was played in court.
During the whole trial, I'm thinking those jurors cannot look at my daughter and see and know how sweet she is and convict her of this.
It took the 12 men and women less than 3 hours to render their verdict. Guilty.
Well, after Christa was found guilty of the murder, they go into the penalty phase. And to prosecute someone that young for the death penalty, particularly a woman, is very unusual.
The state of Tennessee had not executed a woman since 1837, but the district attorney was convinced he could get a death sentence.
Her mom took the stand and said, and it sticks in my mind today, I was a terrible mother. I was a terrible mother. She tried to show the jury, hey, some of this is my fault.
If there's any one thing that I could change if I went back, it would be that I would have spent more time with my children. Every child goes through broken homes or mixed up families or whatever. That does not give a child a right to, kill.
It took the jury only an hour and 15 minutes to reach their decision, death by execution.
I knew from the beginning that I would be found guilty, and I knew from the beginning, from the beginning of my trial, that I would get the death penalty.
It was a commotion to say the least, but when they sentenced her to die, all I could do was scream at the jury, and I called them all murderers, that, you're killing my daughter. And
she said, can I just hug my mom? Can I please just hug my mom? And she was crying and pretty much shouting.
And that was the defining moment in how my life was going to end.
The next day, guards intercepted a letter Christa wrote to her former lover, to Daryl. Christa signed the letter, Little Devil. Christa's accomplice to Daryl's ship was also convicted and sentenced to life in prison.
I think I deserve to be in here for the rest of my life. I do, I know I do. I know I don't deserve to be out walking around with everybody else in normal society. I did something horrible that is unacceptable, and I realize that. But I don't deserve to die for the actions of 3 individuals when I'm only one person. I live in one room, 23 hours a day, and for going on almost 12 years, that's a long time. I'm only out of my room 1 hour a day, and that's just in another cage. It's like a dog cage, a kennel. So I'm either in a box or in a kennel, and that's pretty much it. I don't even remember what it feels like to be free. I've lived in here longer than I've ever lived any one place in my life. I don't remember what it feels like to not have somebody chain me up when I walk out a door or tell me when I can use the bathroom or eat a meal.
There are so many people that love Christa, and Christa wants to live for all of us.
I took somebody's life, took somebody's child away, somebody's friend, somebody's sister. Hurt so many people with this, and even though it's not me, and I can't take full responsibility for this anymore, and I won't, because if I'm going to die in here, I'm going to die for my truth, not for my lie. Accept me for who I am, good, bad, and ugly. But I'm not going to die for a lie anymore. I'll die for my truth.